If you're always the strong one for everyone else, especially when it comes to money, but you're tired of holding it all together, this conversation is for you. Hey, friend, I'm Felicia, your money mindset muse. Welcome to Money Talk Mondays here on The Wealth Within. This is our space for real conversations about money, meaning, and how to build confidence that actually lasts. No judgment, no pressure, just honest talk and support from someone who's lived it. If you've ever felt the weight of being the strong one, the one who keeps it all together, even when you feel like you're breaking inside, you're in the right place. Let me tell you about a season in my life that changed how I show up with money. There was a time when, to the outside world, I was the rock. I showed up for my child, my family, friends, even folks at work. Everyone leaned on me, and I didn't want to let anybody down. The truth, I never let myself break, not in front of anyone, not even at home. I would pay the bills, solve the problems, answer the late night phone calls, and just keep pushing. There were nights I went to bed feeling invisible, like all the strength people saw was actually covering up exhaustion, worry, and quiet fear. And I told myself I could handle it because that's just what strong women do. I remember once, after a long day, I sat alone in the car before going inside. Groceries in the back seat, my child's backpack beside me, and I just stared out at nothing. My chest felt tight from holding everything in. I kept thinking, if I fall apart, who's going to pick up the pieces? That's the silent burden of being the strong one. Sometimes the silence is heavier than the problems themselves. Let's be real about the cost of always being strong. When you carry everyone else, you pay an emotional tax that nobody else sees. You become an expert at hiding your own struggles, even from yourself. Maybe you've convinced yourself that needing help is a luxury you cannot afford. Over time, this turns into feeling isolated, resentful, or burned out because nobody ever asks how you are. They just assume you're fine. Financially, being the strong one can push you to overspend on others, lend money you cannot spare, or say yes when you should say no. You might put your own needs on hold, delay investing in yourself, or give up small joys just to make things easier for someone else. Maybe you tell yourself, it's not that bad, I'll figure it out, but your savings shrink and your anxiety grows. The real danger is this. When you keep sacrificing yourself for everyone else, you eventually lose touch with your own dreams, your boundaries, and even your identity. You may wake up one day and realize you've spent years solving other people's problems and never learned how to honor your own needs with your money. And all of this, it shows up in your bank account, your health, your spirit. Like you might notice you're stuck in a cycle of always helping, always surviving, never thriving, and nobody gives you a trophy for being the strongest. They just give you more to carry. By the way, if this feels real for you, do me a favor, like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's how more women find these honest conversations and realize they're not alone. I remember a conversation I had with a friend who called late one night, needing to borrow money for a crisis. I wanted to say no. I was already stretched thin, but I could not bear the thought of letting her down. So I gave what I did not have and then quietly stressed about my bills for weeks. I told myself I was doing the right thing, but the truth is, I was afraid of losing people if I ever stopped being their rock. That pattern, It repeated itself for years. The reality is, many of us are conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to how much we can endure for others. We celebrate resilience, but we don't talk enough about the price. I have watched my own mother, my aunts, my friends, strong women everywhere, carry entire families, hold down jobs, put food on the table, pay for celebrations, and never complain. And yet, under that strength, so many of us are quietly tired or quietly broke. We carry invisible scars. The moment things shifted for me was when I realized that strength does not mean silence. True strength is being honest about what you need, even if it scares you. I started small, admitting to myself that I was tired. Then I practiced saying no. At first, it felt selfish, but slowly I learned that boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to self respect. I had to grieve the idea that I could fix everything for everyone. And when I finally asked for help, whether it was emotional support or financial advice or just someone to listen, I discovered that real love, real community does not disappear when you let yourself be vulnerable. So here's the shift I want to offer you today. Being the strong one does not have to mean being the only one. You can be generous and giving without sacrificing your own well being. You can care for others and still care for yourself. Strength can look like telling your children, this month we have to stick to the budget, but that does not mean I love you any less. Strength can look like calling a friend to say, I can't help with this right now, but I'm here to listen. It can look like making yourself a priority in your own financial plan and not feeling guilty for putting your oxygen mask on first. You do not have to wait for someone else to notice your needs. You can be your own advocate. And the more you do, the more others will learn to respect your boundaries. That is how you build not just wealth, but peace in a life where you are not always running on empty. Here's what I want you to try this week. First, ask yourself honestly, where am I carrying more than I should? Don't judge yourself for it, just notice it. Second, give yourself permission to set a boundary. If someone asks for something you cannot give, practice saying, not this time. If you find yourself about to take on more at work or home, pause and ask, do I really have the bandwidth? Third, make a list of the ways you support others. And then make a list of what support would look like for you. This is not about taking from anyone else. It is about learning to give yourself what you need. Fourth, reach out for support in a small way. It might be calling a friend, joining a group, reading a book, or just journaling about what you want. The point is, you do not have to do it all alone. And finally, forgive yourself for the times you thought you had to be everything for everyone. That was survival. But now you get to build something better, not just for your loved ones, but for you. I know how hard it is to break out of old patterns. It takes real courage to stop measuring your worth by how much you carry for everyone else. But I want you to remember, the world does not need you to be perfect. The people who truly love you will not leave when you set a boundary. Your future does not require you to be superhuman. It just needs you to be real. This is your invitation to start showing up for yourself the way you do for everyone else. To build a life where your money, your time, and your energy reflect the love and care you so freely give. You are worthy of that kind of grace. So breathe, rest, be honest about what hurts and what heals. And know that every time you choose yourself, you make it safer for someone else to do the same. And This is why we keep showing up together week after week. As always, remember, you do not need permission to be great. You just need a plan. And we are creating that plan together right here on The Wealth Within. If this conversation spoke to you, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, where are you finally giving yourself permission to rest? What is one thing you are letting go of this week?